Our flight today takes us from Longyearbyen, Svalbard, back to Thule, back west, back to one of our main bases of operations after a 1 week sojourn over here in Svalbard. We started off the mission with some flight lines over Svalbard's ice sheets, small ice sheets and glaciers. Of course, that's not the reason we went to Svalbard to begin with. We went there to expand our sea ice coverage over on the eastern side of the pole, which is a very exciting science goal for the project. But it turns out that in order to get to that sea ice, you have to fly over large portions of Svalbard itself. It gives us a nice long comparison of where the glaciers were 15 and 20 years ago versus where they are now in terms of volume. In addition to the ATM data over these glaciers, we're also getting very, very modern state-of-the-art radar data from the M-Cord sounder, from the accumulation radar, which tells us a lot about the snow accumulation in the last several years, the top several meters of the ice on Svalbard, and also from the snow radar, which is also a new instrument. We only mapped glaciers in Svalbard today for about 20 minutes. That's how long it took us to get off into the Nares Strait off the northwest corner of the archipelago. And that takes us into some really interesting sea ice there. It changes dramatically. The sea ice changes dramatically as you cross the Fram from east to west. It starts out with a little bit of open water there at the northwest tip of Norway. And then you get into some broken up pack ice. It looks like a big piece of ice that somebody took a hammer to and shattered. Giant hammer. Really is pretty stuff, neat looking. And then it gets more and more consolidated as you go west. The Nares Strait, by the way, is the primary pathway that sea ice from the Arctic Basin gets out into the warmer oceans of the world. After we've got to Greenland, we turned north and made sort of an M-shaped pattern. And the purpose of that was to track a gradient in sea ice, the thickest, oldest sea ice near the coast of Greenland, getting thinner up towards the pole. And then we'll finish out the mission today, heading into the Nares Strait, going across the ice arch at the top of the strait. It's an arch of ice, and kind of an interesting sort of almost a structural looking feature on satellite imagery and looking out the window. And then we go back to Thule, spend the weekend, rest up after our many time zones of travel this week. We're all pretty tired. Rest up over the weekend and then start up again next week.